So, as we enter into what is traditionally known as prime hiring season, I just wanted to take a minute to talk about something that I think organizations need to keep in mind while they hire. There's a lot of talk about the cost of hiring, and no doubt organizations do have to spend quite a bit of money when hiring. Either you're hiring an outside recruiter, or this the time involved training a new person, the time involved in interviewing applicants, all of that. Hiring costs money. This is true. Beyond the cost of hiring, there's also risk involved. Organizations are usually pretty quick to understand their own personal risk. They're bringing in this unknown person into their organization. They don't know if it's going to work out. They don't really know who this person is. Of course, there is risk involved. But organizations also need to understand there's risk on the part of the applicant. They don't know you, they don't know your organization. They don't know if what you told them about the job is true. They only know what you told them. If you forgot to tell them something, they won't know it. So their level of risk is in a lot of ways higher than an organization. An organization can get rid of someone that they made a mistake in hiring for whatever reason. An applicant, what do they do if they made a mistake? What do they do if their only mistake was trusting what you told them and it ended up not being true? There is risk involved for the part of the applicant. They're also risking their reputation. Now, sure, an organization is risking their reputation when hiring a new person because a new employee is now part of the organization and now affects the reputation of the organization, but is only one small part. Whereas with a job applicant, when they say yes to agree to work for your organization, that becomes a big part of their lives. That becomes a big part of their identity. Most of us spend way more than 40 hours a week at work or aligned with work or identifying with work or whatever it is. Work is a big part of a person's life. And so, therefore, where someone works affects their personal and professional reputation. So, who is taking the biggest risk when it comes to hiring? Well, I think that's debatable. But I think both parties need to understand that both parties are taking a risk. Now, this goes both ways. I think that a job applicant needs to understand the risk that an organization is going to take by hiring them and find ways to lessen that risk. But I think also an organization needs to understand that an applicant is taking a risk by applying even for the job, but also to accept the job and take the job and start the job, all of that. Everybody's taking a risk. Everyone needs to understand that the other person is taking a risk, or the other entity, the other party, whatever you want to call it. Everyone's taking a risk. Understand that, accept that, respect that. So, how can you lessen the risk for both parties? Honesty. Be honest. Now, here's the thing, when anyone's in a job interview, both as an applicant and as an organization interviewing someone, everyone is on their best behavior, and I think they should be. But also, everyone needs to be honest. The job applicant needs to say, this is who I am, this is what I've done, this is what I'm looking to do, and not try to fit whatever it is they think that the organization is looking for. But just to be honest of saying, this is who I am, this is what I bring to the table, take it or leave it. But the organization also needs to be honest with the applicant about the job description, the responsibilities, the scope, the level of the job, how it interacts with other team members, where it fits into the organizational structure, if there are possible changes to that organizational structure, if that job is going to change within the next few weeks. Obviously, every job should evolve over time. But if it's a different job from your first day, from your interview, that's a problem. You should let people know what they're actually applying for, what they're agreeing to. You can't have a solid agreement if no one knows what they're actually agreeing to. This doesn't work. It's not going to last. So, honesty. Everyone needs to be honest. Organizations need to be honest about who they are. Is this a toxic work environment? Now, hey, in a job interview, nobody's going to say, hey, this is a really terrible place to work. But Organizations do need to be honest about, hey, this is a very competitive environment. This is an environment where you're on your own and no one else will really help anyone else, where we don't really believe in teamwork. Be honest about that. Some people really thrive in that kind of environment. Don't try to play, oh, we're perfect and we're wonderful and everyone's happy, if that's not true. Different people want different things. Different organizations need different things. If you're honest, you can find alignment a lot more quickly. And going along with honesty, be prepared to follow through on whatever you tell each other. So an organization, if they tell an applicant, yes, we're looking for fresh ideas, be prepared when the job applicant, now new employee, gives you those fresh ideas. Don't be taken aback and say, what is this? When you told the new employee during the interview process that you wanted those new ideas. So the new employee thinks this is what they were hired for. They should give these new ideas. So the minute that you say, no, 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 we don't want that, please shut up and sit down, the new employee is confused, feels bamboozled, and no one's happy. The new employee isn't happy because you didn't honor what you promised during an interview. The organization isn't happy because now they've hired this person that they don't actually want what they bring to the table. They said they did. They thought it sounded good, but that wasn't actually what they wanted. So everyone needs to be honest and then be prepared to follow through on what you tell the other person. And organizations also need to be honest with what they need, not just what they want. So it shouldn't be about filling boxes. That we have these tasks that need to be accomplished. We need to hire someone to fill this box and accomplish those tasks. Organizations are made up of people, not robots. If you want someone to just accomplish tasks, hire a robot. But when you hire people, you're hiring somebody who's multidimensional, who brings more to the table than accomplishing tasks. So take a look at your organization and find out, what do we need? Do we need someone who is more of a risk taker? Do we need someone who is willing to look at the big picture and say, this is what is going wrong in the organization, and come up with plans to fix that, no matter what their level is? Do we need people who can help the company culture? Do we need people who are good with dealing with other employees, regardless of their job function and department? Organizations need to look at themselves as a whole when they hire, because all of these little bits and pieces are brought in when you bring in a new person, because they're a person, not a robot. So organizations need to look at not just what do they want as far as what do they want to get done task-wise, but also what does the organization need? Maybe you have an organization that's full of creative people. Maybe you really don't need someone who has a million and one ideas. Maybe you need someone that is really good at getting things done, someone that doesn't get distracted by other projects or other things or shiny objects. Maybe you need someone who's going to keep everyone on track. What does your organization actually need? Not just want, as far as accomplishing tasks, but what sort of person do you actually need? And again, think broader than job descriptions or tasks, because a human is never going to just accomplish tasks. They're going to affect the organization in other ways. So why not bring on somebody who fits the type of gap that your organization has, not just with skill set, but also with mindset, with perception, with perspective, all of these things that humans bring to the table. And like medicine, it may not always taste good, it may not always be comfortable, but it may actually be what your organization needs. Maybe your organization is full of people that all agree with each other and life is happy-go-lucky and everyone's happy, but the organization is going nowhere. Yeah, then you maybe need to bring on somebody who is saying, yeah, but all of these other things. Maybe you need someone who questions. Maybe you need someone like that for your organization in order to have it grow, to have it move forward. Maybe the best thing for your organization is to hire someone who isn't going to agree with everything you say. Maybe that's the best possible thing you can do for your organization. It may not be comfortable. It may not be pleasant necessarily, but it may be the medicine that your organization needs. So you really need to look at your organization holistically and figure out what are those things that your organization needs beyond tasks. And job applicants also need to think in the same line where it's not just tasks, because tasks are such a small part of the workday. They're an important part for sure, but what can make a job satisfying are all those other things. Are you someone that needs to feel supported? Are you someone who needs to feel like you're part of a team? Are you someone that needs to just be left alone? Every organization is going to offer different things. And so as a job applicant, you need to be honest with the organization about, here's how I work best. Here's what I need. Here is really what I'm looking for. Be honest. Don't try to read their minds and figure out what they are looking for with that job. And the organization needs to be honest with the applicant and say, you know what, this is not an organization where we believe in teamwork. We believe in everyone just being by themselves with their laptop. And if you're someone who needs teamwork, then that's not going to be a good fit. The only way you'll know this type of thing, though, is if everybody is honest, both the job applicant and the organization. This is how you mitigate risk on both ends. Hiring doesn't have to be as risky as some organizations and people make it. But the most important thing is to just be honest.
For more business resources, tools for entrepreneurs, and customer experience stories, visit nickstanley.com.